All right. Second game between Johnny on the left side and Jan on the right side. We have again mono blue control against mid-range Esper-ish deck.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you can expect, the mono blue is leading the first game. In general, it should be a better matchup for your deck, right?
I'm not sure about that. Why would you think that?
You usually have the better late game, that can be said, and once your counter spells are just fit, I think you're just overwhelmed with a lot of card advantage. You don't get threatened too early except for some planeswalkers.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But his card quality is way higher than mine. So if he sticks a threat, like a Planeswalker, like Gideon, or I don't know, Elspeth, then I have a problem.
So we see Jan having a hand with only Mason with a lot of really good card against you,
Yeah,
but
so,
only Mason is of course not a key. But in Highlander, you have the advantage of mulliganing to 7 for the first time,
yeah,
and it would be a shame if you don't use it. So why not just use it?
yeah, that's actually a good point. A lot of people don't see a lot of people. I see a lot of people keeping mediocre hands and forgetting about the free mulligan. Yeah, I think people should more often mulligan.
Like you usually expect yourself to ask, is this better than a random 6-card hand? And one way of figuring out is maybe like taking away a card and seeing like, okay, if would I keep it with like is every card doing something in my hand and so on. But going to 7 is such a irregular feeling.
Yeah, true.
And we saw for example Dion in a few episodes of the Metagame Masters before, mulliganing very good hands which look very stable according to the matchup, which was very, very on point.
Yeah, because you have to ask yourself, like, is that a hand which is stable, like having land drops and do something, or can that hand keep up with my opponent or with the strategy my opponent is trying to follow, right? Like if you play against a combo deck or like an aggressive deck, you just don't want a stable hand. You want a hand which is like strong enough to interact with them. And yeah, that's a fact you have to keep in mind if you think about mulligans.
So we have your hand, which seems decent enough to keep, apparently.
Oh, for sure, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have the Serum Visions for turn 1, we have the Miscalculation of Jace, the Sea Beyond, and Order of Succession, which are all good cards in this matchup.
So at this point, we talked about a little in the last game about weird cards, and I see a card probably not known to a lot of players if you don't play a lot of Commander or Highlander for that matter. So what does Order of Succession do?
It's basically a control magic as a sorcery. Like each player chooses a creature, starting with you, and then you trade those creatures. But since my deck only plays like 8 creatures or so, most of the time I just get a creature from my opponent, and they don't go into anything. And the good thing about it is you can get things like Thwan, Nemesis, Geist of Sanctuary, all those pesky hexproof creatures, because it doesn't target. It just say you choose a creature.
So you choose a creature from your opponent and the opponent chooses one from you,
exactly.
But that doesn't seem symmetrical because of your supreme deck building skills.
Of course. So though, and the really nice thing is you can use the Snapcaster Mage, for instance, and flashback the Order of Succession. So you have another control magic effect then. But of course, then your opponent gets Snapcaster, which is I guess fine. So Jan keeps a really good hand, I think. You see his spells there in the tour. All things he really wants against my deck. Also the Collective Brutality.
And Geist must be really good.
Like it's all of those cards are relevant in this match, and all of those cards are really. So I do Maze of it with my Serum Visions and see a Ugin and a Dictotime, which are really awkward in the spot. I can't keep them both. I hope I put them both on the bottom. I'm not sure why I'm thinking about it because I don't have any. Yeah.
There might be an argument for keeping the Dictotime if you expect the game to go very long.
Yeah, sure.
But
I mean, my hand is kind of with if J sticks, right? I get my graveyard really. I can feel it up from Dictotime, but I don't expect my J sticking, so that's why I put it on the bottom, I guess.
Also because there is removal, and
Of course, yeah.
It's not like they don't have any because you're playing a second game. You cannot change your deck, and a deck has to have a certain amount of removal spells.
For sure. And at this point, when I'm on the draw, I don't want to play Jace on turn 2, maybe because I'm afraid of 3 drops. I'm not sure about this. I actually don't know what I'm going to do, because turn 3 is not that important for an aesthetic. Of course, he has some kind of,
like Lily and Geist seem very threatening.
Those are threatening. But besides that, I think turn 4 is more scary.
So we see Jan choosing to play the Collective Brutality over the Hymn to Turok.
I like that.
Yeah, the idea behind it must be that he wants to play the guys next turn and hopefully only seeing a counterspell that he can take.
Either that, or he could go for the Collective Brutality has to pick a specific card, right? So you want to get that out first. And so he can, next turn, play the Hymn with Spell Snare backup, knowing that I will have 2 mana to counter eventually. So that could also be a line of thought, right?
So securing that the Collective Brutality hits something.
Yeah, exactly.
And here we already see him not taking the miscalculation.
Yeah.
Which means it must be the plan to play him and Spell Snare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure about it, to be honest. Like, I think I like your line, like making sure sticking the guys next turn. But it's not wrong. It's just another approach, I guess.
There is the danger that you can take the guys with the Order of Succession, but that doesn't happen in the immediate follow-up.
That's actually a good point, because it doesn't have a hard counters for the Order of Succession. So yeah, actually.
So maybe he wants to see before if the Order of Succession gets hit by the Hymn to Turok.
Yeah.
Because if it does, then the Geist is just free to play.
Oh, never mind.
But here we see the Geist anyway, which means it's on. And that's some fair amount of damage. Like, this is 6 each turn, because Jace cannot really do anything against it.
Right, though I have a Maze of Ith, so I can maze the token.
Ooh, that's tricky. Yeah, because even though it's not there really, it will be attacking, so you can say, yeah. And that makes it a lot less dangerous.
Yeah, usually I would feel really bad about this spot. Like, turn 3 guys against my deck, that's really ugh. But I already have an answer for that, and I have the Jace plus the maze, so I feel not so bad about it. I'm discarding Venser here. I'm not sure if that is right, because Venser is kind of a neat answer against the Geist if the Order of Succession plan doesn't hit.
Yes.
But yeah, it seems like I want to keep my options open with the Pond and Purine. Of course, I play here the Maze and keep the miscalculation, which is a really
Go ahead.
It's a really bad line of play now, because he has a Spell Snare, so doesn't do anything.
I want to say Venser is also a really good worst case card. Because no matter what happens, you still have some answers. Here we see Hymn to Turok, this time targeting Johnny, and there's a fairly decent chance that the island isn't getting hit, and you say, okay, that resolves, because you cannot really do anything about it.
Yeah, I can play the miscalculation against it, of course.
So we see taking miscalculation and Order of Succession.
Yeah, that feels really bad. Though I have a Jace, so I can flashback the Order of Succession.
And of course, Jace getting a Planeswalker also means that you don't give anything away.
Exactly.
So that's some neat interactions, and still you can't feel too bad. I mean, you take 2 damage, really. Ooh. Yeah. So that's the path.
He goes for the aggressive protect the Geist and make the Geist threat plan, which is fine with his hand, right? He has his Force Spike and a Spell Snare, like really good spells against my deck. Because I usually tap out in my main phase if I want to answer things, especially hexproof things. So yeah.
So I've seen you playing snow-covered islands before.
No, I never did.
You never do?
No, that was in High-Tide, but not in mono blue control.
Because you don't have anything that interacts with islands.
Exactly. I could play something like Mouth of Vonum or Scrying Sheets, but I don't want those non-basic lands. So
Okay, I said, ooh, here's the Ponder. Some interesting choices. We have
it's
Tolaria
interesting.
West and
The thing
Cryptic
is,
Command.
yeah, Tolaria West doesn't give me anything at this point. I have Tabernacle and Caracas, like special lands, which don't do anything right now.
Hmm.
Cryptic Command, I mean, doesn't help me either. I need something else. I'm not sure what I need. I need something like Snapcaster or like Oblivion Stone. I don't know. I don't like this Ponder because, first of all, I have to go through the 2 lands, which I don't want to get the Cryptic. And yeah, I'm looking for something else anyway. So
You're looking for something more powerful.
exactly. Like, for instance, like just a creature which can maybe contest disguised.
Like a Venser.
Yeah, I was really hoping on my Jace, which was kind of
Fact or Fiction is very powerful.
yeah, it's a very good card in this spot. I have a Wasteland, but of course it doesn't do anything in that spot, so I won't play it.
You can still save it, and Preordain shows another very potent card in Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Yeah, which is easily like it's even a good card in this spot because I can protect it with the mace from the guys. So
it still takes 2 damage over the time, but
2. But I just want to find something, right? So
yeah, exactly. And you found some stuff, which is also a natural curve. You can go with Fact or Fiction, end of turn, and then if that gets countered or interacted with, you can Jace next turn.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, I have the 5th land for the Force Spike, so yeah, it should go well from here on if he doesn't stick another threat. So I don't feel that bad at this point.
So Jan draws an Aven Mind Sensor, which could be very annoying, right? Like there are some cards like the Tolaria West we saw, or some other effects that tutor that are like very hard to get around with, and Mind Sensor is also not the card you can deal with easily.
Yeah.
But in general, it shouldn't be that.
So I decided to Wasteland him here because I want to play the Fact or Fiction, and he missed several land drops by now, so I want to cut him off on color, but I can't do that at this spot, but I just want to limit his options. And yeah, now I play the Fact or Fiction. And
Jan floated a mana there and was thinking about playing it with the mana open, which would have been perfect, but he wasn't sure how to use the mana then.
It doesn't make sense he doesn't do that because I play mono blue, so there will not be a Wrath of God if he chooses to play main phase as Aven Mind Sensor, right? And he has still the spell piece up.
And so, this must be one of the best Fact or Fictions in the history.
I'm not sure I had better ones, but it's a pretty good Fact or Fiction, let's say.
Like he basically can never give you Emrakul, right?
Yeah, that's just because he's not fast enough and Emrakul will hit. So Emrakul, let me tell a story about Emrakul. Like I had a break for Magic like for 1 year, and when I came back, I looked at those new Commander decks on Modo, right? Like Magic Online, they have a new format, like this dual Commander stuff, and every control deck plays this Emrakul, and I was like, why is no one playing Highlander this card? Like it seems absurd, especially in decks like control decks, which drag out the games anyway. This effect, this Mindslaver, is so potent, it's so strong, and you have a 13/13 flying trample protection from instants body on top of that, which you can occasionally bounce with Caracas on top. So, which I did like many times, and this card is just my new favorite card of all time.
Yeah, I have to actually agree. That's exactly. It's just the best card, and
it's ridiculous.
You don't really care about the body. You just say like, "I want your turn."
Yeah,
like,
I just want your turn. And maybe if you don't have an answer, well, I take it with Emrakul anyway.
Like this is the nice add-on, you know, like
exactly. Yeah.
The case I want your turn, but if it so happens, I also take the 13/13 flying trample.
I mean, it is important that you have a threat actually following this Mindslaver. So it's not completely irrelevant. But yeah, you are right. Like having a Mindslaver is the best feeling ever, right? So let's talk about the fact maybe, because it's a hard fact to make for Jan, because we see the Ungartha Shore, which gets me out of this pesky situation with those creatures.
Again, another very awkward card, like in general.
Yeah, exactly.
What does it do?
It bounds every creature which powers equal or less to the amounts of islands I control. So
Okay.
in this case for 4 or less.
Which is everything.
Which is everything, and it's an instant. So it's the blue Wrath of God, I would say.
Oh, and you can also flashback it with Torrential Gearhulk.
Exactly, which most of the time bounces the Torrential Gearhulk. So you can
wow.
So, yeah.
So you chose against the best 2 cards in Back to Basic.
Yeah, I was like rambling about 5 minutes about Emrakul, how good it is, and then it lands in the yard. It's a shame. Yeah, because I think I need the land actually. Like, I think his fact pile was really, really good because Back to Basic doesn't help me if I take it in this spot because they already have threats and my Maze of Ith is important to survive. So I can't use it Back to Basic. The Emrakul, I didn't count it yet how much it would be reduced by, but it wasn't enough, I'm pretty sure. So that's why I think I go with the lands and the Torrential Gearhulk. And the Gearhulk actually handles the guys. Yeah, so.
Like the other pile has a higher fail rate because they're so expensive.
Exactly. The thing is, even if he has a removal spell from the Torrential Gearhulk, I get the effect from the Gearhulk, so that's important.
Here we see Ash Barons being cycled, also another addition to the Highlander cards from the Commander set. Yeah. Also very underrated, I feel.
No, I think a lot of people play that because not only it fixes their mana, but also gives you fuel for your devil spells. So.
Or Delirium. I think that's what you want to do.
I think it's actually a card which a lot of players acknowledge to be a strong card.
Good. That's also you can play so many cards you don't normally see or get the fun to play with.
That's
so that's just good. Okay, so here your plan is quite simple, not dying. And Jan is trying to kind of finish the race with the last breath. Like he knows, as I said in the beginning, that your late game is just much more potent, much more crushing because your cards in the higher spots do more. And here we see you engulfing the shores, saying, okay, let's return stuff. I don't want to take too many damage.
Yeah. And I don't want to take too much damage. And also, if he decides to play the the Geist right on, I know I can just resolve the Torrential Gearhulk, at least in my mind, I think. Because he must feel really bad about his Force Spike, right? Because it doesn't get any usage. He doesn't get any usage out of it all the turns.
He also very skillfully played, didn't play any 2-mana spells for the spell snare, really. But Force Spike, Jan knows you have the Gearhulk, so maybe there's a spot he can finally use it, and using it on a 6-mana card, especially something that dangerous, must be like a win, and that has to happen.
Yeah, it's very juicy. So I drew my own Force Spike, and now I think, okay, he only has 1 mana, and I don't want to run the Gearhulk into open mana next turn when he attacks, right? So I decide to play the main phase, which I think it is the correct play. It has to be.
Yeah, but of course.
But now his Force Spike gets live. But the thing is, what other option do I have? I could play the Jace, but then I have the same problem that I need to play the Gearhulk next turn in his open mana. And he actually can kill Jace with the man-land. So I think playing Gearhulk main phase here is the right play, but now, unfortunately, he drew Swords of...
Ooh. And that makes it so much worse, because now the hexproof actually is really relevant.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. No.
Dealing 6 damage instead of 2, drawing a card, leaving you dead on board. Wow, that was a draw.
That was a really good draw. Now I have to play Jace. I don't even know if I have anything which can help me here. I don't think so.
You see a Delta, a Daze, and a Bribery, which just leaves you very, very dead. I mean, your only hope is to maybe your opponent doesn't attack.
Good old heart attack, right?
I have settled a wreckage in blue or something. Yeah, okay.
It was a really nice game, to be honest. Even though I lost there, I think it was a nice game.
Wow, it was interesting. Like we went from you being in the driver's position for so long, and then in case of 2 turns, bam, bam, you somehow lost having that. Wow, you can never be too relaxed on this. Okay, so let's see in the third game who wins.